Shalom, shalom. Giving all honor and praise to the Most High, the Son, Yahweh Shai. Coming through you on another Wednesday class to get edified in the Most High God's name. The name of this class is called Wise Instruction. Seeing how Israel rolled. Y'all keep it down, man. Seeing how Israel rolled. Seeing how when we grow in the spirit, we supposed to always grow in the spirit in this walk. Every day your spirit's supposed to get stronger and stronger. If not a lot, a little bit. About Brother Paul said I died daily. Because what he was doing to strengthen his spirit daily. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy to endure to the end. And we seeing how people moving this walk, knowing that we're supposed to keep the commandments of Most High God. Everybody's supposed to be brethren. Everybody's supposed to be shaloming each other, be in peace with one another. But guess what? It's not always the case in Israel. So, like you say, we just got to deal with spirits that we see them. If the spirits don't go away, we got to keep going at the same spirits until the spirits get out. And guess what? Until it stop finding dry places in here. And we're gonna constantly keep it, we're gonna constantly keep going at spirits until those spirits either gonna flee from the scene or the spirits gonna flee from the scene. And we hoping brothers understand in the spiritual, keep a spiritual. We won't, like you say, when we do classes, like I said in this Monday class, it's supposed to be in the spirit. So we expecting brothers and sisters when they hear classes and they take heed to classes, supposed to. Let's go to Proverbs Chapter 11. Verse 14. Ready, King? Proverbs Chapter 11, verse 14.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 14.
Read.
Where no counsel is,
Read.
the people will fall.
Read that again.
Where no counsel is, the people fall.
May Scripture say it plainly. Where there no counsel is, the people will fall, man. So we got to make sure that we are guided in the right counsel. Or guess what? Because some people take no counsel at all. So where no counsel is, the people gonna fall. Hey, because a lot of times we don't see it fall today. We don't see it fall tomorrow. We think the Most High God slacking in His promise. But if the scriptures say it plainly, this is exactly what's gonna happen. Point blank period. We don't make these things up. We just abide by what the Lord say. Read that again.
Where no counsel is, the people fall.
He said, where no counsel is, the people gonna fall. Read.
But in the multitude of counselors,
read.
There is safety.
Hey, scriptures say what they say, man. Said in a multitude of counselors, there's safety. Because this is how the Lord expecting us to be guided in our walk, by counsel, by looking at what we need to do to grow in this truth. And this expecting us to be able to, hearken to counsel. That's what, because some people don't always give good counsel. Some people don't always, guess what? Some people don't always give the best counsel that you think you're supposed to have. But when the thing's starting to unfold, you're like, dang, I see what this says. I see what this says. I see what this says. But we'll see, like you say, we hope the brothers and sisters have a spiritual ear to hear this thing today.
Let me get a precept real quick, just to back up what I was saying. Keep in the book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 8. Because even like Ak is going into, we want to be careful, like we say, that we in the right spirit, even with taking counsel, Like we say, if the counsel is of the Most High God, a lot of times those things solve the problems. A lot of the times. Read this right quick, Ak.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37, verse 8. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he had.
It says, beware of a counselor and know before what need he had. Read on up.
For he will counsel for himself.
Because some brothers and sisters do counsel for themselves. You may be seeking out the wrong counsel, counseling with that brother that gonna tell you what you want to hear, counseling with that sister that's gonna tell you exactly what you want to hear. You know, not what you need to hear. And these are the things. Brothers and sisters have to stay in the spirit even when listening to that. Read on up.
Lest he cast a lot upon thee.
Lest he do what?
Lest he cast a lot upon thee.
Because sometimes counsel, if it's not in the right spirit, it's that counsel that'll cast a lot upon you. Guess what? Make you worse off than even coming to that person with that counsel. A lot of times, brothers and sisters know. They know in the person that they go into whether it's going to be a righteous counsel or not, or it's just going to be for their benefit. So those are other things to watch out for. Go ahead.
I just want to add on that because it's wicked counsel, it's righteous counsel, and it's unrighteous counsel, like I was going into. See, it said where the counsel is, the people won't fail. If you go not fail and go doing unrighteousness together, because guess what? All the other nations that are against us, they got their counsel in order. They meet up every year at the EU, right? They getting this thing together. They don't want to accord with their counsel. It's unrighteous counsel. But they don't want to accord. The other nations that despise us, they don't want to accord with their wicked counsel. Just jump over and read 12 and 5. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. Then you know that the unrighteous counsel and righteous counsel. So you got to be able to know, like I said, like we said in the class, spirit. It's about spiritual understanding, spiritual discernment, and knowing what counsel is right or what counsel is wicked. And for the most part, we pretty much know, man. Like I said, if you got to even ask a question about it, 9 times out of 10, you know what? That's probably not right. You know what I'm saying? But just to touch back on that, it's wicked counsel, unrighteous counsel, and righteous counsel.
Big God on that. Let's go to Tobit chapter 4 and verse 18. Like I said, it's going in the same. We're going into the same thing. When we touching and we looking at how we supposed to be walking in our walk, we gotta always make sure that we stay grounded, no matter what. Because sometimes, like you say, you know your intent and you know the spirit that you land in, but you got to make sure that the people that you deal with, that they're in the right spirit too. And it all matters, man. These things count. Tobit chapter 4 verse 18.
The book of Tobit chapter 4 verse 18. As counsel of all that are wise.
Read it again.
As counsel of all that are wise.
Because these are the counsels that you should be trying to look for. The counsel that is wise, man. Read.
And despise not any counsel that is profitable.
So all the counsel that is profitable, don't despise these things, man. This is what the Most High God is counting. He counting on us to be. Hey, I'm counting on y'all to take. When I give wise counsel, I'm counting on y'all to take these things. That's why when he left the Holy Spirit, so because guess what? He expecting us to be able to discern between things. That's why he said he gave us the tongue to learn and the ear to learn. So we can discern things, right? We don't.
Bless the Lord thy God always, and desire of him that thy ways may be directed.
So guess what? When you led in the spirit, guess what? You know your ways is directed. If it's got to be done in secrecy or in deceit or whatever thing that you think you can be able to do these things in, guess what? It's not of the Most High God. Point blank, period. We want the Most High God to direct us always in our walk, man. Read on, Doc.
And that all thy paths and counsels may prosper.
Because this goes straight into the point. When the Most High God guides your steps, guess what? You'll start seeing your ways to prosper. But read on, though.
For every nation hath not counsel, but the Lord himself giveth all good things.
He said, but the Lord himself giveth all good things. Because guess what? The Most High God's ways is not our ways, man. And we will want him because guess what? He's the creator. I'd rather for the creator to guide me than for a wicked nation to guide me, man. Read on, Doc.
And he humbled whom he will.
He humble whom he will. Read.
As he will. Now therefore, my son, remember my commandments.
Read.
Neither let them be put out of thy mind.
Because this is how we're supposed to do with wise counsel. That's why he's trying to. That's why Tobit is giving Tobias a good understanding. Like, hey, remember what I'm saying. When wise counsel, don't forsake wise counsel. You always take those things, man. And you keep these things in your mind. Keep these things on the day-to-day. He expecting for us to be diligent in that, man. This is how our God works, man. Go to Sirach chapter 32, verse 19, man.
And I know one thing as a nation of people, like we said, we got to constantly work on as a nation, is putting emotions before counsel or before the laws of the Most High God. I know that's something that brothers and sisters got to meditate on. You know, it's not what we feel, it's what the scriptures say. And that's what we got to adhere to every single time, man. That's what brothers and sisters got to meditate on. Don't put emotions before the law, statutes, and commandments. Do we have emotions? Yes. But when you're able to check your emotions and go with the scriptures first, that's show growth in the truth. And that's, like I said, that's something that brothers and sisters should be striving for each and every day.
It's supposed to be. This is how you said you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be striving to get better every day, striving to grow every day. Read this out.
The book of Sirach, chapter 32, verse 19.
Read.
Do nothing without advice.
Read.
And when thou hast once done, repent not.
See, because guess what? It's saying when thou hast once done, repent not. Because once you take good advice, guess what? You ain't got to go back thinking you can do. You ain't got to worry about going back doing the same thing. Oh, I took wise counsel, so I ain't got to repent from that no more. This is how these things go. Jump up, watch this. But when you don't take wise counsel, jump up to verse 17.
Verse 17.
Read.
A sinful man will not be reproved.
Read that again.
A sinful man will not be reproved.
Because guess what? You know when a person is not taking wise counsel, because a simple man would not be reproved. Read on.
But findeth an excuse according to his will.
But findeth that excuse according to his will. It didn't say the Most High God's will. There's a difference in the two. And we got to make sure we can keep these things plain. It said a simple man would not be reproved. So guess what? When a person trying to give you good, sound instructions, like you say, trying to give you good counsel, that's what we all, no matter who it is, we're supposed to be hearkening to wise counseling, man. This is how that thing goes, man. You can't go nowhere else around it. This is directly how this thing goes. Because once you get wise counsel, this is what happens. I'm going to show you what happens when you get wise counsel. Go to Proverbs 21 and 11. This is what happens when you go to get wise counseling. Wise counseling does something when you get wise counsel. Read Proverbs 21 and verse 11.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 11.
Read.
When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise.
He said, when the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise. Because wise is made wise. Guess what? If I see somebody that's in sin and then the Most High God put something on them, guess what? That made me know that I'm not going to do that. I see what the Lord did to him. I'm not going to do that. Guess what? That's something that I don't want. So it's saying, when the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise. Guess what? You should be the one that's simple enough. Like, yeah, I see what the Lord did. I'm not going to do that. I see what the Lord did to him. I'm not going to do that. But read on.
And when the wise is instructed.
So when the wise is instructed, read.
He receiveth knowledge.
This is what good counseling does. You receive knowledge. Okay, I see what it is. I got the knowledge. I got understanding. This is what good counseling. This is what good counsel brings. It brings knowledge. Knowledge to either do or don't do something. Yes, sir. Go read verse 12.
Verse 12. The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked.
The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked. Like I said, the wise man is going to what? Be reproved from what the wicked man going into his thing and saying, guess what? I'm not going to fall in that, okay? No, I'm not going to fall in that. That's when a wise man becomes wise and considering the house of the wicked. That's when you become wise, considering it. Guess what? That house pretty wicked. You know what I'm saying? They done went through this and that, so I'm going to try not to fall after those footsteps. That's what a wise man considered the house of the wicked. And wisely considered the house of the wicked. Not just consider it, but he wisely considered that thing. You look at it and be like, that's not the way I want to go. Lining up with the Bible, like we said, staying in the spirit, spiritual aspect. No, I'm not trying to go that way. Read on.
But God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness.
For their what?
For their wickedness.
So the Most High will deal with that thing. But it's up for you to look and see and to be able to understand. But guess what? I'm not going to deal with that wickedness. You know what I'm saying? It's a learning experience or a learning tool or guide for us to see. Guess what? Don't fall in that state. Don't do that. well, what they did wrong, I'm gonna try to, just like we look back at our forefathers, we look at the wrong and we take the good, right? We try to throw away the wrong that they did and we take the good. That's the same thing a wise man do when he considered the house of the wicked. Go ahead.
Just con on it. Watch this. Go to Proverbs Chapter 5 in verse 4. Like you say, when you looking at this thing in the aspect, seeing how, because a lot of times people do things, guess what? And even everybody do things on a day-to-day. Ooh, I'm glad the Lord didn't punch me for this. No, you can't even say that because you don't know if the Lord gonna pile that thing up on you and just bring a whole big calamity on you. We don't know. Read this up.
The book of Sirach, chapter 5, verse 4. Say not, I have sinned, and what harm had happened unto me.
Don't say that, man. Well, you can't even look at another person like, well, it didn't happen to them. You can't say this. Why? Read on.
For the Lord is long suffering.
Because the reason why he didn't get you, because he's long suffering, man. Read.
He will in no wise let thee go.
But he in no wise let thee go. That's why you can't sit up and say, like, well, shoot, I ain't get punished for it. I'm all right. Oh, you can't sit up and say that. You think the Lord didn't you think the Lord forgot what you just did after you done did what you think you done got away with? No, you ain't. No, he just long suffering, hoping you repent that you don't do it no more. But guess what? Some people take that, oh, I got away with it once, I can do it again. Well, keep on doing it. Keep on. Keep on. And watch what the Lord do. Because when he draw his out, guess what? A lot of times people think, well, I ain't worried about it. I just deal with the Lord on it. Okay, well, just deal with the Lord then.
Let's go into thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God.
It's definitely going into that, man. It's definitely going into that, man. 100%. Let's go to, what's that precept? Ecclesiastes what?
8 and 11.
Let's go to Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. That's precept with that.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily.
That is not executed speedily. Read.
Therefore, the heart of the sons of man is fully set in them to do evil.
Because they feeling like, oh, I got away with it this time. You know. They feel like they can do it again. It's something that we don't need to have our mind wrapped around. Guess what? If you got it, Most High God gave you grace on that, guess what? Lord, thank you for giving me grace. I'm going to try not to do that again. And try to, like you say, like King Solomon was saying in Psalm chapter 51, create me a clean heart. This is what he was, these make the precept line up better so we can be able to grow in this walk, man. We don't supposed to, you don't never, when you in this walk and you start feeling like you going backwards, guess what? It's time to check your spirit. Read on, Doc.
Though a sinner do evil 100 times.
Though he do evil, because guess what? The Lord is long suffering. That's why you can do evil 100 times. He said, though a sinner do evil 100 times, read.
And his days be prolonged.
And his days be prolonged, read.
Yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him.
So guess what? He said, but surely it still should be well with God. That guess what? Even the people that fear the Lord, we see like, dang. But I'll praise the Most High God. This brother or this sister got grace like a mug on them. Some brothers, guess what? If I see brothers over there on the Sabbath day buying every day, every Sabbath, you like, dang, that brother buy every Sabbath. Only thing you can do is just keep throwing prayers up for their brothers and sisters, man. But don't you go get caught up in that. Why? Because your grace might not be their grace. Your mercy might not be their mercy. The Lord might be prolonging them. They might finna get ready to come up out of it. You don't know how the Lord work on this thing, man. Our job is in this walk to let our light shine. This is our job, man. Not to be enticed by nothing, but to let our light shine, man. This is what our God expecting for us to do. to grow.
And it's the same thing. Even Paul reiterated these things. Man, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 2 real quick. Like I said, this is something that has been repeated throughout the scripture. You know, to kind of keep our spirits in check. You know, like I said, we don't want to get lackadaisy, never in this truth, or never complacent. You know, thinking you can't fall or something can't happen to you. You always want to stay on your P's and Q's and make sure that you always line up with thus said the Lord. Read this out.
The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 2. I told you before and foretell you as if I were present.
As if he were what?
As if I were present.
Read on now.
The second time. And being absent, now I write to them which heretofore have sinned.
Have what?
Have sinned.
Read on up.
And to all other.
And to all other. Read on up.
That if I come again, I would not spare.
He would not what?
I would not spare.
So those are things that, guess what? This is a warning. He's saying that he done wrote unto people not to sin and foretold them, guess what? If he come again, he won't spare. So this is something that, guess what, brothers and sisters should be holding dear to their spirit, man. Like we say, you don't never want to be that person that's out of the spirit and Christ come back. Like we said, that's a dreadful day, man. You know, he just caught you at the right time that you have just so happen to be you out of the spirit. You know, you don't want to be that person, man. Go ahead,
Be going on there. You really don't. You don't want to be that person. Let's go to Proverbs Chapter 1, verse 10, man. That's kind of touching on something because getting wise instruction, man, is what we supposed to be getting. Supposed to be leaning on in this walk. Read it up.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 10. My son, if sinners entice thee.
If sinners entice thee, read.
Consent thou not.
Read that again. I won't,
my son.
These things got to sink in, man. Read that again.
My son, if sinners entice thee,
read.
Consent thou not.
So we know that the Bible is read in a masculine form because guess what? It is always the Lord than a man than a woman, but it still pertains to men and women. It said, my son, if a sinner entice thee, consent thou not. Don't get led away by those things, man. Read.
If they say, come with us.
If they say, come with us, read.
Let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause.
Without what?
Without cause.
Read.
Let us swallow them up alive as the grave.
Read.
The whole as those that go down into the pit.
Read.
We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil.
So is this sound like this is not sounding like good counsel, man? This is definitely not sounding like good counsel, man. That's why I said, verse 10 says, my son, if sinner entice thee, consent thou not. If you start listening to the conversation that they bring it, you know damn well this is not good counsel because you listen like, hold on. This is not of the Lord. The Lord ain't instructing us to do some stuff like this. This is not led in the spirit. When you being led in the spirit, you should automatically hear a conversation knowing like, no, this is not of the Lord. Even if you hear him out, okay, I got you. Okay, then, you know, okay, then shalom, over the road, brother, shalom, over the road. This is how this thing is supposed to go, man. Read on.
Cast in thy lot among us. Let us all have one purse.
So they said, let us have one purse. That means all on one consent. Everybody, let's all get on one accord and go do some wicked stuff, man. No. But give a damn how wicked it is, whether it be little or whether it be great. Guess what? It said, if a sinner entice thee, consent thou not. It didn't say how little or big the matter is. It said, consent thou not. Don't give in to those things, man. Read.
My son, walk not thou in the way with them.
He said, guess what? Now he's telling you, walk not thou in the way with them. Why? Because guess what? You got a chance to listen to what the people are saying. Got a good understanding what people are saying. Now it's time for me to move forward, man. It said, my son, walk thou not with them. Read.
Refrain thy foot from their path.
And refrain thy foot from their path, man. Read.
For their foot run to evil.
He said their foot run to evil. Read.
It make haste to shed blood.
Because now, guess what? Now it's giving a better understanding that, okay, I see what they trying to do. I see what they they plan is. So my plan is now, it's not to walk with them because why? They going to shed innocent blood. This is just giving an example on how wicked counsel can go. When wicked counsel goes that way, you get a good understanding of what they trying to do. Guess what? It's time for us to do. Move on, man. Get away from those things. This is what how our God do, because guess what? We should always know where wisdom come from, man. Matter of fact, let's go get where wisdom come from. Go to James chapter 3. This is where wisdom come from. James chapter 3 and verse 17. Hold on. Start at verse 15.
The book of James, chapter 3, verse 15. This wisdom consented not from above.
So he said, guess what? When you hear like these, what we just read in Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 16, when you hear these things, Proverbs chapter 1, verse 10 through 16. When you hear these things, guess what? That wisdom didn't come from above, man. Read.
This wisdom consented not from above, but it's earthly.
That's a carnal. It's going into a carnal thing. It's not led in the spirit. Read.
Sensual. Devilish.
It's sensual and it's devilish. This is the demonic spirit. Because if it was up the Most High God, guess what, man? It's no flow. There's no flaws in what the Most High God brings forth.
Sensual is going into what? Emotion. That counsel being led by your feelings in your emotion, not by thus saith the Lord. We know a lot of times, like we say, emotions get us in trouble. Go ahead, up.
Be on on that. Read it up.
Verse 16. For where envy and strife is,
read.
there is confusion.
There is confusion, man. This is what the scripture tells us plainly, man. It said where envy and strife is, there is confusion, man. Read.
In every evil work.
And it's every evil work, man. When you got envy on the table and you got strife on the table, guess what's going to happen? It said every evil work. Scriptures don't lie, man. Read.
But the wisdom that is from above.
It said, but the wisdom that is from above, read.
Is pure.
Guess what? You know this good wisdom because it's pure. You know it's good counsel because it's pure. Read on.
Then peaceable.
Then what?
Then peaceable.
This is how you know that it's good wisdom. It's first pure and then the second is peaceable. So if wisdom not pure and peaceable, guess what that wisdom is? That's not good wisdom. Scriptures say what they say, they don't lie. Who lies? Let God be true and let every man be a liar. I don't care who it is. Guess what? Baby can start crying right now. Guess what, baby? You'll lie too. Guess what? Sister, guess what? She clean, she unclean on the period, she clean on the, she off a period, she clean, and she, guess what? She a lie. Guess what? Brothers not in their feelings, brothers in their feelings, they a lie. We're going to let God be true. We're going to let every man be a liar, man. Read that again,
Verse 17 from the top.
Mm-hmm.
But the wisdom that is from above is first pure.
It's first pure, read.
Then peaceable.
Then peaceable, read.
Gently.
Then gentle.
Gently.
Gentle.
Mm-hmm. And easy to be entreated.
And it said these things are supposed to be easy. This giving us steps on how good wisdom is, on how wisdom is from the Most High. It's first peaceable, it's first pure, peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated. Read on.
Full of mercy and good fruits.
Full of mercy and good fruits. Read.
Without partiality.
Read that again.
Without partiality.
It said these things are without partiality. Read.
And without hypocrisy.
And it's without hypocrisy. Man, you can't get around these things, man. This is how you know that these things is directly from the Most High God, man. This is how you know these things is, but when it's not, guess what brothers and sisters doing? You feeding your own belly. Go to Romans chapter.
Let me get a precept real quick.
Go ahead.
For that, give me Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7, verse 24. Because I just broke that thing down. There's a precept for that. Going into that wisdom, being pure, being gentle, having all those characteristics, man. That's a good precept.
Like I say, if you ain't got this wisdom Solomon, write that thing beside this move. Vice versa.
Mm-hmm. You get to read that up.
Okay, 17:24.
7
and 24. I'm sorry. The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion.
So it's more moving than any motion. Read on up.
She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness.
And this basically going into how the Most High God put forth this word. You got the stars, you got the sun, the moon, they all obey the Most High God, even the animals. It's just us that's supposed to be on a higher level than animals that don't do the Most High God's work or his wisdom. Read on up.
For she is the breath of the power of God, in a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty.
For she is the breath of the power of God and a pure influence. Read on up.
Flowing from the glory of the Almighty.
Read on up.
Therefore can no defile thing fall into her.
That's when you know it's on good counsel, because good counsel, no defiled thing can come into wisdom. Like we say, when it's of a wicked counsel, defiled things is running in and out of that thing. You know, so like we say, even going by these scriptures, brothers got to make sure that, guess what? That counsel is lined up by these characteristics in the book of James chapter 3, verse 17. Go ahead, Doc.
Become. And these, like you say, and these are things that we, like you say, when we not getting that counsel from above, we doing this. Romans chapter 16. Romans chapter 16. We'll start at verse 17. You just go to it.
The book of Romans chapter 16, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Now I beseech you, brethren.
He said, I beseech you, brethren, man. Read
Mark them which cause division.
Read that again. Huh?
Mark them which cause
He
division
said, mark them that cause division. Read.
and offense.
And offenses. It's not just division, it's also in offenses too, man. Read.
Contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and abhor them.
And it said, contrary to the doctrine which ye have already learned. Guess what? If our doctrine is we take counsel and you don't take counsel, that's not our doctrine. That's not our doctrine. If our counsel is that we take, if our doctrine is that we take counsel and you don't take counsel, that's not our doctrine. Get what the Bible tells us to do. Avoid you. Read verse 16, read verse 17 again. I want to let this thing meditate in a lot of brothers and sisters' spirit, because sometimes things don't be read, sometimes things don't be clear, but we can make it clear once we read, let God be true, let every man be alike. Read that again.
The book of Romans chapter 16, verse 17. Now I beseech you, brethren,
read.
mark them which cause division.
He said, mark them which cause division. Read
and offenses.
And offenses. Read.
Contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
So guess what? I don't care if a sister got to follow her husband. If her husband's going off, guess what? We got to avoid everything.
Now, even in that, like I just broke down, you know, one of the key points in there is contrary to the doctrine that you have been taught. So if you sit in a camp or a congregation, you are into it with somebody, is that what they're talking about? No, that's not. Because y'all learning the same things. That's not what they're talking about. Even in that situation, what should you do? Apply the scriptures. You always apply the scriptures. Matthew 18 and 15. So I just hit on the point. Like we say, going into things contrary to what's being taught up in here. Go ahead.
Verse 18 now.
Verse 18. For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushua, but their own belly.
But they do what?
But their own belly.
Because guess what? When you dabbling around with them, guess what? And them other people that's doing contrary to the doctrine you learn, you serve your own belly. Read verse 18. No matter of fact, read verse 17 and just flow right on to 18. See if this makes sense, make some sense, brothers and sisters.
Verse 17 from the top. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause division and offenses, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushua, but their own belly, and by good work, and by good words and fair speeches, to see the hearts of the simple.
I don't understand. If that ain't simple to brothers and sisters, guess what? Scripture might not be plain to you.
And that's the easiest way you can put it. If we teach counsel, this is an example. We teach counsel and you don't want to go by counsel, then guess what the scripture say? We got to avoid you. And then it says next that that person or those people that don't want to take counsel concerning the scriptures, how we see the Bible says to look on that counsel, they're going after their own belly. They're going after their own lust, what they want to do. Because the scriptures don't say that. The scriptures don't line up with not going with counsel. The scripture say we got to leave them alone. And it says, by good and fair words, speech, deceive the hearts of the simple. Yeah, they might be talking laws, statutes, and commandments, but if they ain't doing them, you know what I'm saying? They have to deceive you. Oh, they might be talking about unity, but what are they doing? They pushing division. You know what I'm saying, right? That's right. So that's what the scripture's saying. If you want to sit here and go against what the scriptures say, then first of all, we gotta avoid you. Second of all, the scriptures show who you are. You're going after your own lust. Even though you might have some nice words to go along with it, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sure, a couple people had some nice words. Yeah, what the Christopher Columbus had some nice words, didn't he? To the Pilgrims, to the Indians, right? They had some nice words. Oh, hey, brother, how you doing? Your boss at the job got nice words to you, right? Coffee and donuts. But we see where you're going against our doctrine, against our counsel. Guess what? We got to avoid it. And the scriptures show you who you are. Well, that's simple.
It is simple. And you know, the thing that gets brothers and sisters is the point of good words and fair speeches, man.
Right.
Deceive the hearts of the simple, man. They want to lean on you and cry. Oh, guess what? After emotions is gone, let's talk about let's talk about the real thing, man. It's got to be moved out the way. After all the emotions is gone, let's remove the emotions. Let's put facts on the line and let's put the real thing on the line and let's deal with it, man, as we supposed to. Why? Let's read the very next verse goes into exactly what I'm saying, man. Read this out.
Verse 19. For your obedience is come abroad unto all men.
The obedience is come abroad to all men, man. And this is going to determine if people got understanding of obedience, man. Read.
I am glad, therefore, on your behalf. But yet, I would have you wise unto which is good.
So the things that is good, he expecting people following wise, but read on.
And simple concerning evil.
So when the evil, guess what? Be real simple, yeah? Don't play around. Well, maybe no. Be real simple. It's the direct thing when it's concerning evil. Be real simple, man. Point blank, period, man. Be simple when it's concerning evil. Because a lot of times people, they want to make evil complex. It's not a complex thing. Move the emotions aside and let's talk about really if it's evil or not.
And we got to go back to 18, man. We didn't touch that. Be good and by good words and fair speech deceive the hearts of the who?
Simple.
Of the simple. You got to touch that too. But if your buddy ain't getting deceived or you out here getting deceived, then guess what? You're a simple-minded person.
That's it. It shows you.
Hey, the scriptures say what they say, right? Nah, I don't, not the heart of the ones that's what? Diligent and stand true to the doctrine, but those that are simple. Like we say, spirits try to jump on who? The easiest one they can get on.
That's it.
Oh yeah, I see where I can get you. You know, 1 Peter 5:8, what the devil do? He trying to roam and trying to see exactly who he can find, your weakest point. Nah, he not gonna get you if you done stop smoking for 8 years. We ain't gonna touch you on no weed. Nah, we ain't worried about that no more.
But get what he gonna do? You still put the urge on you every now and then.
Yeah, but this brother here, he got an attitude. He still ain't got no patience. Touch him on his face. Mm-hmm. So it said that's what we got to talk. Deceive the hearts of the simple. I don't want to be categorized as simple in the Bible, man.
Because guess what? Matter of fact, we finna touch this. Watch it. 2 Kings, chapter 14. Watch how this thing goes, man. We're gonna start from the top, man. King chapter 14, verse 1.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, verse 1. Mm-hmm. In the second year of Joash, son of Johanahaz, king of Israel, Judah.
Okay, now it's just giving us an outline of the kings in Israel and the kings in Judah, right? Read.
He was 20 and 5 years old when he began to reign. And reigned 20 and 9 years in Jerusalem.
He reigned 29 years in Jerusalem, read.
And his mother's name was Jehoiada of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord.
He did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, read.
Yet not like David, his father. He did according to all things as Joash, his father did.
Read.
Howbeit the high priests were not taken away.
Read that again.
Howbeit the high places were not taken away.
So now it said, howbeit the high places not taken away. Now y'all got to understand about the high places. It's good high places and it's bad high places. Matter of fact, we're gonna get it so brothers and sisters can have a better understanding. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 32 right quick. It said, howbeit the high places. 32 and verse 13. This is the example of the good high places. 32 and 13.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 13. He had made him ride on the high places of the earth.
He said he had made him to ride in the high places on the earth. And we're going to touch that in a minute. Read on.
That he might eat the increase of the field. And he made him to suck honey out of the rock and oil out of the plenty rock.
So now those things, like you say, those things is going into like the good high places. Matter of fact, we'll get a little bit more on it. Ezekiel chapter 16. We'll start at verse 15 to give you a better understanding, because we're gonna touch on, like I say, hope brothers and sisters have a spiritual ear to hear these things, man. Ezekiel chapter 16, start at verse 15.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 15. But thou didst trust in thy own beauty, and pledged the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornication on every one that passed by. Hills it was. And thy garments thou didst take, and deckest thy high places.
And deckest, he said, thou garments thou didst take, and they deckest thy high places. Watch this.
With diverse colors, and pledged the harlot thereupon. And the like things shall not come, neither shall it be so.
That was going into the bad high place. My bad. That was going into the bad high place. But while we at the bad high place, we're gonna touch the bad high place. We're gonna go back to the good high places too. Matter of fact, go to reason why the Most High. We're gonna show you the reason why the Most High God said it was the bad high places, since we already at there. Go to Psalm chapter 78 and verse Psalm chapter 78. Start at verse 6.
6.
Yeah.
The book of Psalms chapter 78 verse 6. That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments.
Read on.
And might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation.
A stubborn and rebellious generation. Read.
A generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God.
Because these are the people that was going into, like you say, going into setting themselves into these high places. But we're gonna get ready. We're gonna explain it a little bit more once we go back to 2 Kings. Matter of fact, we're gonna get it in 2 Kings chapter 17. It's gonna explain it a little bit better, so brothers and sisters get a better understanding. 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 29. Then we'll go back.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 29. Howbeit, every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places.
Because guess what? This is what the thing we was doing according to our high places. We were making gods or making idols and putting it into. That's why I was saying in Psalm 78 that we was a generation that did not listen to our God, because we was making our own gods and putting it into our own high places. And these, like I say, so when we was making our own high places, the Most High God didn't like those things. Because the Most High God got his own high place. Watch this, read on.
which the Samaritans had made.
And we know who Samaritans is. This is going into the northern kingdom. And we know the northern kingdom right now, even to this day, do what? The northern kingdom right now do what? Make idols. They still got idols right now. The Santa Maria. They got all these things everywhere. They got these things everywhere. So these things, this thing basically going into the places that they going into sacrificing. Like say for instance, like they have a like the Northern Kingdom have a whole thing built up in their house. Like they have candles all around it with the white Jesus. They have the rosary beads with the cross on it. These things right here goes into these high places that our people would build. It said, which had in Sumerian, read on.
Which had in Samaritan had made.
Every
nation in their cities wherein they dwelt.
In every nation in the city they dwelt, they was making these high places. Like you say, even like you say, going into right now, they still do it. They still do it the same way right now. But we know in the Most High God's high places. Go to Sirach chapter 14 right quick. Sirach chapter 14. This is the Most High God's high place. Go. Sirach chapter 14. Not 14. Sirach chapter 24, verse 14. No, Sirach chapter 24, verse 4.
24 and 4?
Yeah.
The book of Sirach, chapter 24, verse 4.
Read on.
I dwelt in high places.
The Most High God said he dwells in high places. Read.
And my throne is in a cloudy pillar.
And then his throne is in a cloud pillar. So the high places that we supposed to be is with the Most High God's high places, not our own. So with our own high places, what were we doing? Making gods. Worshiping idols. Those are things that we were doing in our high places. But in the Most High God's high places, guess what? That's why we look for the strength of what? The Most High God. So in our high places, we did what? We worship and we did idol worship. But in the Most High God's high places, guess what? We didn't do that. We let the Most High God be ahead of us, and we follow his steps, not our own steps. Let's go back to 2 Kings chapter 14. Like you say, it's two different ways. Like you have the high places of the men, but you also have the high places of the Most High. So once you see the high places of the Most High, you know that guess what? You know it's talking about things concerning spiritual, things concerning in the heaven, not the things concerning in the other gods. Mm-hmm.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, verse 4.
Go ahead.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, verse 4. Howbeit, the high places were not taken away. As yet, the people did sacrifice and burn incense on the high places.
So guess what? What was they doing?
Sacrificing and burning incense.
Unto what?
High
Other
places.
gods.
Mm-hmm.
They were basically doing this into other gods. Read.
Verse 5. And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hand, that he slew his servants, which had slain the king of his father.
Read.
But the children of the murmurers he slew not.
But you know, read that again.
But the children of the murmurers.
No, murderers.
But the children of the murderers he slew not.
He said, but the children of the murderers he slew not. Watch this.
According unto that which is written in the book of the law of Moses.
He said, which was written. He said, according to what it was written in the law of Moses. Read.
Wherein the Lord, let me start this over. But the children of the murderers he slew not, according to that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein the Lord commanded, saying, the father shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the father, but every man shall be put to death for his own sin.
It said the same thing in Ezekiel chapter 18. Let's go get it. Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 4. It's saying the same thing. Get there, let's read.
Okay.
Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 4. Like I say, it's saying the same thing.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 4. Behold, our souls are mine,
The Lord said, all souls are mine. Read.
as the souls of the Father.
Uh-huh.
So also the souls of the Son is mine.
Uh-huh.
The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
It shall die. And now it's going down. He said, the soul that sinned it shall die. Jump down to verse 20 to give you more clarity in it.
Verse 20.
Mm-hmm.
The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
It's going right along with Ezekiel 18 and 4. The soul that sinned it shall die. Read.
The Son shall not bear the iniquity of the Father.
It's saying the same thing we just read in 2 Kings, man. Read on.
Neither shall the Father bear the iniquity of the Son.
Uh-huh.
The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him,
Uh-huh.
and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him.
It's saying the righteous of the righteous shall be upon him, but the wicked of the wickedness, it shall be upon him. Now let's go get it what it said in Deuteronomy chapter 18, 24. Chapter 24 and verse 16 said the same thing. Saying the same exact thing. That's why I said it was written in the law of Moses. It's saying the same thing.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
The father shall not be put to death for the children,
Uh-huh.
neither shall the children be put to death for the father.
Uh-huh.
Every man shall be put to death for his own sin.
And so every man should be put to death for his own sin. So it's a difference when you go jump over to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21. And this is street precept, but it's give you a better, give you clarity on it so you won't be confused. I know sometimes brothers can read these things and they'll get confused on certain things, so we got to go back, like you say, to touch it so brothers and sisters can get a better understanding.
The book of Isaiah chapter 14 verse 21.
Uh-huh.
Prepare slaughter for his children, for
Uh-huh.
the iniquity of their father,
Read.
that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Lord, feel the praise of the world. So he's telling them to prepare slaughter for his children. Now, this is basically going into personal sins and versus the whole nation. There's a difference. When he tells them to prepare slaughter for his children, this is going into the sins of the whole nation. So that's why you see, matter of fact, go get it to give you a little bit more in clarity on it. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Because there's a difference between personal sins and sins of your nation. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15 is like say simple precept, but it's concerning the nation versus personal sin.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Read.
to observe, to do all his commandments, in his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake
So
thee.
now this is going into cursing of a whole nation versus personal things. So guess what? If this was going to a personal thing, guess what, man? It'd be a lot of people in captivity, and some of us would be like, boy, dang, we wouldn't even consider our nation. Like, shit, that's on him. But no, these things right here concerning the nation. So you got to understand the difference between a nation, the nation going sinning against the Most High versus a personal sinning against the Most High. So if I kill somebody, that means that be on me. But if the nation sinning against the Most High, it's on all of us.
Let's prove that. Give me the book of Job, chapter 34 and verse 29. Like Ak is going into. Because I know sometimes you get them super Christians sometimes. Well, Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21, they can't pay for the sins of their father. Well, no, that's not talking about Esau. And like we say, it's the difference between personal sins on a person or on a nation. But read this. God can remember, we got to remember, Most High God can do whatever he wants. At the end of the day, read this.
The book of Job, chapter 34, verse 29. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only.
So the Most High God can judge you as a man, or he can judge you as a nation. Either one. Go ahead, Ak.
Let's go back to 2 Kings. Chapter 14, verse 6.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, verse 6. But the children of the murderers he slew not, according to that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein the Lord commanded, saying, the father shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the father, but every man shall be put to death for his own sin.
Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Read on.
He slew of Edom in the valley of Salt,
Now,
10,000.
he said, in the valley of Salt, the valley of Salt 10,000 was between Judah and Edom. But it's like really like the south part. I don't know if brothers and sisters know like the the graph of the area. You got Judah is the lower part of Israel of our promised land. Judah was the lower part, but Edom was right up under it. So it's basically right here by the Dead Sea. So it's Judah, then it's Edom, right? The landmass go like this, Judah and Edom. And in the valley of Salt of 10,000 was right between Judah and Edom. If you want to get the landmass, to get it better. We don't know.
And took Selah by war,
And
called the name of it Joktheel until this day.
until this day, read on.
Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz. Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come.
Yo, Jehovah.
I ain't even getting into it. I ain't gonna start.
I think it's Jehoahaz.
Yeah, you had it right out. You got it right. Yeah, Jehovah.
Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoahaz, the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come, let us look one another in the face.
So guess what? He sent letters, and they said, let's look one another. Let's have a meeting. Watch this, read.
And Jehoahaz, the king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, give thy daughter to my son to wife.
So it's saying, he said the thistle, he said the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar. And we know that the thistle was a stubble, but we know that cedar was what? Was one of the choice woods that King Solomon was using in the temple. So imagine a thistle talking to a cedar saying, hey man, let's go let our children make sons and daughters. Look how watch how the correlation goes. He just sent the message to have a meeting. But it's saying the thistle told the cedar, let's go let our children make a baby. Man, won't they be together, right? You know.
Give thy daughter to my son to wife.
To wife, read.
And there passed by a wild beast.
Read.
That was in Lebanon and trod down the thistle.
So now he's giving them basically he's giving them a parable. So the thistle asking the cedar, hey, give your daughter, give your child to my child, so they can wife, they can make children. Just won't you go ahead and do it? So basically, guess what? It's giving a parable. But verse 10 on down, finna break down the parable why the thistle should have never tried to give the cedar their child to wife. Why? Because guess what? It's cedars and thistles don't mix. Watch this, read on.
Verse 10, thou hast indeed smitten Edom.
He said, thou hast indeed smitten Edom, read on.
In thy heart, and lifted thee up.
And lifted thee, and guess what? He said, I seen you smite Edom, and your heart is lifted up right now. He's like, I ain't trying to see what kind of spirit you in, because I just seen you. Hey, I just seen how you did in Edom. Well, you told Ruth down. But is you puffed up? Let me why you want to be? What's going on? Read on.
Glory of this and tarry at home. For why shouldest thou meddle to thy hurt?
He said, why shouldest thou minister to thy hurt? Read.
If thou shouldest fall, even thou in Judah with thee.
He said, even thou in Judah with thee. He said, why you want to do this, man? I mean, what's the deal? Watch this, read on.
But Amaziah would not hear.
He said, but Amaziah would not hear. Read.
Therefore, Jehoash, king of Israel, went up, and he and Amaziah, king of Judah, looked one another in the face.
They looked one another in the face. Read.
At Bethshemesh, which belonged to Judah.
Read.
And Judah was put to the worst before Israel.
So guess what? They went up to me. And Judah, guess what? Judah was put to worse before Israel. Guess what? You thinking they trying to do good. Guess what? He's supposed to be brothers. Y'all supposed to be of the same nation. Thinking it was good. But Judah got put to worse before Israel, man. Read on.
And they fled, every man to their tent.
Read.
And Jehoash, king of Israel, took Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Jehoash, the son of Anahaziah, at Bethshemesh, and came to Jerusalem.
And they came to Jerusalem, read.
And break down to the wall of Jerusalem.
And they break down the walls of Jerusalem, read.
From the gate of Ephraim unto the corner gate, 400 cubits.
So guess what, man? They went met up, but Israel, guess what? Started dogging Judah. They was just supposed to, they just wanted to meet up face to face. Because guess what? That person might have good intentions. You might have a good intention, but their intentions not like yours. Their intentions, they try to tell you the cedar and the thistle don't both mix. Guess what? And it goes one and the same. Guess what? Everybody want to do all the unity. It ain't saying that we can't unify. But we're going to try the spirit before we do unify. Because guess what? Everybody don't have, guess what? Like grandma said, baby, everybody just not like you. Because everybody's not. Everybody ain't got the same, everybody ain't trying to do the same thing you do. Judah thought he was doing good trying to meet up with him, but guess what? Israel had something else on his mind. Israel said, no, I got something for you. Yeah, you come on over. It's good. Guess what happened? You got put to worse. Thinking that you doing something good, guess what? And they got an agenda behind these things. Everybody not on the same page. They can play, got fair words, and they got good speeches, and they make it think the thing good, but they really not doing the thing the right way. Read on.
Verse 14. And he took all the gold and silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord.
So this is Judah and Israel. These stuff belong to us anyway. I don't know why the hell you take it for. This thing belongs to us. This whole thing belongs to us. Why do you take it for anyway? That's letting you know that they didn't have a good intention. Yeah, they like, but guess what? They tried to warn you. He tried to warn them. Hey, man, look at the thistles and the cedar, man. They don't mix, man. What's up with it? Tried to warn them, like, hey, Judah wanted to do it anyway. I was going to meet up. So what Israel did? Yeah, he's going to meet up. I got something for your ass. Come on over here. Read on.
And in the treasuries of the king's house, in hostages, and returned to Samaria.
And they returned to Samaria. They took all the stuff. They literally broke down the walls, went into the house, the Lord's house, took all the gold and the good stuff out of and brought it back to Samaria. For what? For what? It makes no sense. Your intentions might be good, but their intentions ain't good like yours. Some people's intentions ain't good. They not. No matter how good you try to be to them, guess what, man? They are what they are. It's just whatever it is, what it is. Read on.
Now the rest of the acts of Jehoash, which he did in his might, and how he fought with Amaziah, king of Judah.
King of Judah.
Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel?
So guess what? That's why you read in Chronicles how what they was had battles back and forth. Why? Because you thinking that you doing good, and here the deceit is working all the time. If they don't have, like you say, if it's pure and if it's good, guess what? It's of the Most High. But if it's not, you will see it too. You will see how that thing get trodden down, how it get broken up. Because the Most High God is not a God that he's alive, man. No matter how you feel. You know something? Let's go to Proverbs Chapter 23. You might have had the good intention, but hey, Some people ain't on the same. They ain't on the same wavelength you on. They ain't trying to have a good. They ain't trying to be. Guess what? In the forefront, it may look like it, like they trying to happy joy, but behind the scene, guess what? They got drawn knives in your back, and guess what? It ain't the same. And you might be happy and you full of joy, but no, with them, it's not the same with them. Go to Proverbs Chapter 23 from the top.
The book of Proverbs Chapter 23 verse 1. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee.
Now it said when you're going to eat with a ruler, guess what, man? We're a nation of kings and priests, man. It's going into, guess what, even when you going to sit with your brothers and sisters, man. Watch this, read on.
And put a knife to thy throat.
And put a knife to thy throat, read.
If thou be a man given to appetite.
If you was a man given to appetite, read.
Be not desirous of his vanity. Be not desirous of his vanity. For they are deceitful meat.
Because guess what? It said when you sit down with these people, guess what? It said, consider diligently what is before thee and put a knife to thy throat. Because guess what? A lot of times you thinking you doing it the right way. Brother's got it. Guess what? He got this knife tucked right here, ready to put that thing straight to your throat. You might see all these dainties. That means going into big pleasant meal. They got big meals on the table. They got big food on the table. It look good. Everything looks lavish. Everything good. It's seeming like it's good. It really seems like, oh yeah, man. Shoot, brother came through. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let's go get some of this dainty is. Psalm chapter 141 right quick. Psalm chapter 141, start at verse 3.
The book of Psalm chapter 141 verse 3. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth.
Read on.
Keep the door of my lips. Incline not my heart to any evil thing.
So he's telling us, guess what? He says, set a watch, O Lord, before me. He says, set a watch before my mouth and keep thy door of my lips. Read on.
Incline not my heart to any evil thing. To practice wicked works with men that work iniquity. And let me not eat of their dainty.
And then let us not eat of their dainty. When you guess what? When they practice in a wicked work, you don't eat. Hey, like you say, we hoping that through the Spirit that brothers and sisters can receive that. Incline not my heart to any evil thing, to practice wicked works with men that work iniquity, and let me not eat of their dainties, man. You got to watch, because guess what? They might put it out. They might put it out in one way to make it seem like it's good, but in the other aspect, they got other things. They got other agendas going. Matter of fact, let's go back to Proverbs chapter 23. We're gonna start at verse 6.
Because that dainties is just going into basically like sweets or something good to eat. A lot of times, brothers and sisters, they may talk a good game, but a lot of times they doing that for their own pleasure or for some agenda. A lot of the time, especially like Ak is going into when it's not of good counsel of the Lord. Go ahead, Ak.
We don't.
You said we're going to work.
Proverbs 23. We're gonna jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. The book of Proverbs chapter 23 verse 6. Eat thou not the bread of him that had an evil eye.
It's going into the same thing that Psalm chapter 41 is going into. It said, eat thou not the bread of him that had an evil eye. Read.
Neither desire thou his dainty meat.
Neither desire his dainty meats. Read.
For as he thinketh in his heart.
So as he thinking in his heart, read.
So is he.
So is he. This is how he, guess what? As he thinking in his heart, so is he. Read on.
Eat and drink, said he.
He said, eat and drink, said he. Read on.
But his heart is not with thee.
His heart ain't with thee, man. His heart is not with thee. And guess what? He shows you that his heart is not with thee because what he doing, because if it was real, guess what? All the cards be on table and it would make the thing real. But guess what? When you working deceit behind the scene, it shows that this thing is not real, man. Read on.
Verse 8. The morsel which thou hast eaten shall thou vomit up.
He said the morsel that you eating, you gonna vomit up, read.
And lose thy sweet words.
And lose thy sweet words. Because guess what? When they start speaking these sweet words, let's go prove it. Proverbs 26. Let's go prove it. Proverbs 26, verse 24.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 26, verse 24.
Uh-huh.
He that hated disassembly with his lips,
Uh-huh.
and laid up deceit within him.
He said, he that hated disassembly with his lips and laid up deceit within him, read.
When he speaketh fair,
When he speaketh fair, read.
believe him
He
not.
said, believe him not, man. When they start speaking them fair, believe him not. Man, look.
Because even verse 24 is here, it said that
Mhm.
he that hated disassembled with his lip, meaning what? Caused division.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see this pitted against that, this pitted against this. You'll start to see that when you see division come up. Go ahead, up.
Become. Read verse 25.
Verse 25. When he speaketh fair, believe him
He
not.
said, when he speaketh fair, believe him not. Read.
For there are 7 abominations in his
The
heart.
7 abominations. Guess what? What are those 7 abominations? What? No, 7 abominations is what? Those 7 wicked spirits that did what?
Okay.
That'll come back on.
Come back on.
Those are the dry places that they come back in. This is why you can't. These scriptures got to line up.
Uh-huh.
They can't go one against each other. These scriptures got to line up. That's why you got 7 abominations in them. You thinking that they saying it right, but no, they got the 7 abominations that's in them.
Let me, because it's saying the same. Christ reiterate these things. Like you say, you want to make sure you start to be able to see this through Christ's lens. Go to Matthew chapter 12, verse 34. Touching on our earlier point with Proverbs 23. Give me Matthew 12 and verse 34. Because like we say, going back to the precept that I pulled, if this of the Lord, if that thing is done in the spirit, meaning what? First, it's pure. Secondly, it's going into what? No deceit, no partiality. It's going to be peace. So these are the characteristics that you fall back to. Read this up.
The book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 34. O generations of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things?
And this is going into Christ cutting up the scribes and Pharisees. But read on up.
For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
But this also goes back to what? Proverbs 23. The things that's on brothers and sisters' mind, guess what? They're going to speak those things. Whether this be to the lips to disassemble, that hate, division, agendas and so forth. Read on.
Verse 35. A good man out of the good treasures of the heart bringing forth good things.
Now, these are the things that I pulled in the book of what? James chapter 3, verse 17. This is going into what? A brother that's speaking good things, a sister that's speaking good things. Read on up.
And an evil man out of the evil treasures bringing forth evil things.
So a good man is going to bring forth good treasures, and evil man is going to do what? Bring forth evil treasures. And these are the things that brothers and sisters got to be able to discern. Not always in action. Sometimes you have to catch it in their speech as well, man. Much more in their actions, but mainly in their speech. Because I know a lot of times brothers and sisters come with deceit. You have to be able to pick up on those things. Go ahead, up.
Jump down to verse, stay in Matthew 12, jump down to verse 45, because this right here, like you say, goes one and the same with it. Read it up.
Matthew chapter 12, verse 45. Then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits, more wickeder than himself.
So he taking away with him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself. This is the evil spirit. It said, when you jump on to verse 43, it said, when an unclean spirit goeth out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest and findeth none. But when we jump down to verse 45, it said, then he goeth and taketh with him. That's when that evil spirit can't find nothing, and that person let that spirit back in, guess what? He bring in 7 other spirits on them. Read on.
Then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits, more wicked than himself. And they enter in and dwell there.
They enter in and they dwell there. Read.
And the last state of that man is worse than the first.
Read.
Even so shall it be also unto his wicked generation.
He said, even also to be to him to that wicked generation. Let's go back to Proverbs chapter 26, man, and verse 25. So you should make sure y'all are writing them precepts down beside each other so that they lines up, man. This is how you break the Bible down.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 26.
26 and verse 25.
Chapter 26, verse 25.
Mm-hmm.
When he speaketh fair, believe him not.
Mm-hmm.
For there are 7 abominations in his heart.
And we know the 7 abominations in his heart, man. These are them 7 spirits that enter in, right? Verse 26.
Whose hatred is covered by deceit.
He said, whose hatred is covered by deceit. Read on.
His wickedness shall be shewed before the whole congregation.
Read that again.
His wickedness shall be shewed before the whole congregation.
So this is how we bring out scriptures to the people. And this is how we make sure, guess what? When we have a conversation, guess what? Let's come along and back all these things up with scriptures. We don't want to just talk it. Guess what? And pull scripture behind these things to make these things plain. Because guess what? A man can talk, woman talk, but we let God be true and let every man be a liar. Point blank period. Go back to Proverbs chapter 23.
And 8.
Let's start at verse 8.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
The morsel which thou hast eaten.
The morsel which thou hast eaten, read.
Shall thou vomit up.
Vomit up, read.
And lose thy sweet words.
And lose the sweet words. That means, guess what, man? Now, like you say, after all these deceitful words, after all this stuff, because guess what? Brothers can hide their stuff in deceit, man. Brothers do this stuff all day long. They hide words in deceit. They do this thing all day long, making it feel like brothers hate brothers. Oh, man, they hate me. Don't nobody hate you. You just don't take counsel. It's not hating you. Point blank, period. Read.
Speak not in the ears of a fool.
Speak not in the ears of the fool. Why?
For he will despise the wisdom of thy words.
Because that's he gonna always despise the wisdom of thy words, man. Fool ain't gonna never take counsel, man. And a lot of times, like Maccabee said a long time ago when he was talking to that brother, he said, yeah, these same people, they damn fools. And guess what? And our people sit right among them and they listen to these damn fools. They'll sit right here, brother, just smooth, got out of turn. They get right on the bus or the train, come right up in the city, and here you go. We sitting there talking to them, and these people, and the person came straight out of turn, knowing he crazy as a mug.
And that's good.
Just the best mug. We sit right beside us, and he said, like, dang, he got some knowledge on him, and he crazy in the mud. I'm talking about straight loony. Lunatic to the, like the Obadiah said, loony to the lunars. He just a straight lunatic. That's why, no, we're not going to listen to that. Because some people articulate words real good. They make this stuff sound real good. They got emotions and making that bring you into the emotions. You be sitting there crying with them. You like, damn, what I'm crying for? They just suck you in. You right there with them. And you don't really mean to. You don't really mean to, but guess what? It's Rock 37 and 19 right quick. Read that again. I don't know. Okay, we brought that out. Bring it up. It's Rock 37, 19. Then we're going to bring it out now.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37, verse 19.
Uh-huh.
There is one that is wise and teacheth many.
He said, there's one is wise and teaching many. Read on.
And yet is unprofitable to himself.
We got to read. Man, look here, man. We got to read that book one more time, man. Because guess what? Guess what? We have classes against the people that's not learned and unlearned. There's some people out here teaching the people. Guess what? They wise. Guess what? But they unprofitable to themselves, though. Read that again.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 37. Salaki. The book of Sirach, chapter 37, verse 19.
Ecclesiastes cuss.
That's why I say 37, verse 19. There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself.
Why is he unprofitable to himself? Matthew chapter 23. This is why he's unprofitable to himself. Matthew 23. Got one more precept after this. Matthew 23 and verse 3. Start at verse 2. Right. Read 2 and 3.
The book of Matthew, chapter 23, in verse 2. Saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
He said the scribes and Pharisees, they sit in Moses' seat. That means Jesus going to our leaders, man. Read on.
All therefore, whatsoever they bid you, observe.
Guess what? He said, whatever they telling you to do, observe these things, man. Read.
That observe and do.
Yeah, observe and do. Read on.
But do not ye after their works.
Because don't do after they works, though. Read on.
For they say and do not.
That's why they unprofitable to themselves. Because they say the words and they do them not. You saying unity, but you not pushing it. You not doing it. You're not doing it. They say them, but they don't. They say the words, but they don't do it. That's why I say just good old. It's good. It's a real good talk. Make it sound real good. These are pleasant words. Go ahead.
Even like how we say, we always go over these things, man. It's not the hearers, it's not the readers, but it's the doers, man. It's always the doers. Like we say, you have to be able to back up, like we say, what you are reading or what you are saying. You know, we get that old saying, practice what you preach. You know, that's our job is in the days. We could have stayed in Christianity if we want to keep dealing in that lifestyle. We want to make sure that we always checking our spirits in this walk. If things come up, what should we do? Let's apply the scriptures. You know, aside from emotions and feelings, let's apply the scriptures, man. Because, like I said, we be more better off. And then you can teach what? A younger brother or a younger sister that experience and show them those things. Because a lot of times, how do we deal with things in the world? And we're going to go get the gun. You going, boy, you have to see about that thing. But
I don't let me put my shoes on right quick.
What else? Sister putting them flip flops on or fighting barefoot. You know how the sisters with them hammers and say they'll squab up, man. But even like how we said, we're not dealing in that type of lifestyle no more once we come into the truth. You know, that's the whole point. Go ahead,
Jump down to verse 24, man.
Verse 24. Ye blind guys.
He said, ye blind guys, read.
Which strain at a gap.
No, strain at a gnat.
Yeah. Which strain at a net and swallow a camel.
He said, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel, man. You strain it at a gnat, but you're missing the bigger picture.
For real.
You're missing the bigger picture. Because some people let the smaller things hinder them and forget about the bigger picture of what's going on.
For real.
You straining at a gnat, but you swallowing the whole damn camel.
Because what is the bigger picture? You're trying to make it to the king.
That's
Trying to
it.
get the hell up out of here, man. I don't know if brothers and sisters don't know that, man. Stuff that's going on with Russia. I know, brothers and sisters, like we say, that's why the scriptures tell you to what? Watch and pray. Watching the news, watching the scriptures. Stuff is getting more and more and more heated up, man. I'm talking about this stuff is ramping up. I'm talking about it could kick off at any day. You seeing what Russia is doing, making moves in the Ukraine. This stuff is going to escalate more and more as we get closer and closer to the truth. So we know that these demons are going to be working more and more to do what? Pull brothers and sisters out the spirit, to basically pull brothers and sisters out of the spirit. So you can be hit by thermonuclear destruction, man. I don't want that, man. I don't want that. Go ahead,
I don't want that either. I don't want that for no brother and sister, but
for real.
We know it prophesied 2/3 ain't gonna make it, man.
Right.
Last precept, Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. The last precept of prayer, not the law.
Right. All right. The book of Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. Beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit.
It said, beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, man. Read on.
After the tradition of men.
After tradition of men, read.
After the rudiments of the world.
After the rudiments of the world, read on.
And not after Christ.
And not after Christ. Why? Because we know that wisdom comes from what?
Above.
Above. So when it's not after Christ, guess what? So we know that Christ is sitting beside the Father. So if it's not come from above, that's not good wisdom. Thing is, you gotta let God be true. You gotta let every man be a liar, no matter what. With that, we'll say shalom. We'll bring out a law.
Give me Deuteronomy 24 and verse 17.
So Brothers and sisters watching online, man, like and share the video, man. Help us put this truth around the four corners of the earth. You get that, that read.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, verse 17. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor of the fatherless.
Being what? Taking advantage of brothers and sisters that don't understand. Even brothers and sisters that's not in here. Strangers can be what? Anybody that's outside of our congregation, that's outside of Dallas, Texas. Knowing we have more insight that go on amongst the congregation, the judgment that go on amongst us. We don't want to use that to pervert or take advantage of those things. We don't know.
Nor take a widow's raiment to pledge.
Nor take a widow's raiment to pledge. Even with the raiment and so forth. Raiment is just going into clothing. But the main point that we don't want to take advantage of brothers and sisters in this walk.
And then they're taking the raiment of widow's pledge, or widows to pledge, it is taking advantage. Because a widow's, guess what? She broke her heart and she got these raiments. You don't take advantage of that. That's going, like you say, one and the same. They're taking advantage, man. And we don't want to do that, man. And with that, we'll say shalom.
Shalom.